Hello, my name is Caleb Parkin. I'm a poet, performer, facilitator and filmmaker. I sometimes refer to myself as a dayglow, queero, techno, eco poet because I'm interested in all of those things, technology, ecology and a bit of dayglow as well. The RAM Queering the Museum Commission was a really appealing one to me. I've done quite a lot of work with museums and galleries now, and I'm really interested in ekphrastic writing, so writing inspired by artworks and objects. I'm also really interested in queering eco-poetry and what that might mean, as well as post-colonial approaches to eco-poetry and queer ecologies as well. So I studied an MSc Creative Writing for Therapeutic Purposes last year. I graduated last year, and my dissertation centred on writing for therapeutic purposes in museums and galleries. And through that reading, I became really interested in how knotty and difficult and problematic a lot of museum objects are, even though I enjoy being in those spaces. Once you really start getting into the difficulties of them, there's a lot to unpack. And I think as a white writer, it's my responsibility to get into that and try and wrestle with some of the ethics of it. And I think a queer perspective has something to offer on that, which is what I'm interested in exploring in this commission. What I've started doing is more reading around post-colonial eco-criticism, sounds very fancy, more reading around queer ecologies as well, the construction of whiteness and empire and imperialism, which is really current as well with the Black Lives Matter movement being at the fore right now. But obviously these conversations have been going on for a long time and need to keep going. Creatively at the moment, what that's meant for me is I'm doing a bit of autoethnography and thinking about what's my connection to some of these objects in like the Natural History collection at RAM, or my own connection to colonialism and empire. And there's a little South African offshoot of my family, and I remembered I had this book which is Our South African National Parks, and it's all tobacco cigar cards, which says double whammy of the it's a really tricky thing. And I love the animals, the wildlife. It's addressed to my Granny Joy, who died quite a long time ago, with love from Aunt Cecily, so presumably my great aunt Cecily. And I don't know much about this, so I feel like this is a real invitation to get into thinking about what's my connection to this South African history, what's my connection to the ways that animals have been subjugated and brought into natural history collections. So I'm exploring that. I've found that there's an amazing sand collection, which I'm really interested in, which is actually like collected by a queer poet called Ivor Treby. And I really want to get into writing about the sand because that's super interesting. And so far I've been doing a bit of research as well about butterflies and moths. I got quite into, including some of their interesting names that I think sound like pet names, like the gaudy sphinx or cave hyena or the spoon limpet. And I want to think about naming, and I want to think about who names what, and how those acts of naming can be acts of colonization as well. So there's a lot to get to grips with, and I hope that I'll be able to produce some poems and films and maybe some GIFs of bits of those poems too. And I'm only just getting started, but looking forward to doing much more work on it.